everyone. Today we will be finishing up our discussion of voting methods with a discussion of election fairness criteria. So when it comes to evaluating the fairness of an election or the fairness of a voting method, there are four different fairness criteria that we will discuss. And these are majority, Condorcet, monotonicity, and IIA, which stands for irrelevant or independence of irrelevant alternatives. So to sort of explain what each of these criteria are, the majority criterion, probably the simplest of all of these, this basically just says that if we have a candidate that gets a majority of the first place votes, that candidate should be the winner of the election. And as we can see, all four of the methods that we've talked about satisfy that except for the board account method. The next one is what we call the Condorcet criterion, and this basically says that if we have a Condorcet candidate, which means a candidate that is preferred over every other candidate a majority of the time, that candidate should be the winner of the election. And the only one of the voting methods that we've talked about that satisfies that criteria is the method of pairwise comparisons. Next, we have the monotonicity criterion. Basically, this states that when you have a preference ballot, you should not be able to hurt a candidate's overall ranking by moving them up in your ballot. And the only one of the methods that we've talked about that does not reliably satisfy this criterion is the plurality with elimination method. And then finally, we have the IIA, or independence of irrelevant alternatives criterion. And what this basically says is that when we remove a losing candidate, that should not alter the winner of the election. And as we can see, none of the criteria, or none of the voting methods that we've talked about satisfy this criterion. So, moral of this story, as you can see, there is not a single one of these four voting methods that satisfies or reliably satisfies all four of these fairness criteria. This leads us to what we call Arrow's Impossibility Theorem. Arrow's Impossibility Theorem basically states that when we have an election with three or more candidates, having a voting method that satisfies all four of these fairness criteria is a mathematical impossibility. Thank you for watching, and of course, if you have questions, I'm happy to help.